This is Do It for a Living, your source for inside information on the future of automotive performance. So I got Jeremy Allen here, one of the key players at Inline Pro. Jeremy, how's it going?
Yeah, pretty good, man. A little hot today, but, you know, it's better than being, well, I'll take the hot over the cold, so.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, just hanging in there, man.
Another day in the hood.
Another day, yeah.
So, Jeremy, tell us a little bit about yourself and Inline Pro, and how did you get started in the business?
Basically, I've been here for almost 14 years. It'll be 14 years in August. And before that, basically how I got the job here is I built a hatchback. This was probably 15 years ago, and put a B20 VTEC in it. And nobody in the area that had done that yet. And so I built the whole car myself, and then I just needed it dynoed, and John did dyno tuning. So a friend of mine knew him, and so he recommended John. So I came up and got the car tuned, and the car made more power than he'd ever seen on any of the other cars, and so we just started talking, and he offered me a job.
Nice.
So, yeah. So,
what's your role at Inline Pro today?
I'm one of the managers, but it's John's the owner, and it's more of it's pretty much like a partnership, except he's the owner. I've got a pretty good say on everything we do here, and you know it's a nice relationship that we have. So he's the owner, but I basically like an owner without having to do all the paperwork.
Right.
So that's a good way to describe it.
Right. So take us back, to that time. You built this car, and you guys, I guess, so he tuned the car.
Yeah.
And it just kind of grew into something from there. Did you had a full-time job at that point, and,
yeah.
And when did you get into Inline Pro?
Yeah, I was slinging parts at a Lexus dealer. So I was in the parts department, and it was pretty boring, and so I was kind of looking to do something anyways. So it kind of worked out. I was actually going to go be just a tech at Lexus, but I thought working on turbo cars and stuff like that would be more fun. So yeah, so that's how I got into it.
Right. So does Inline Pro focus on like any one particular thing? Like you guys do, you're a full service machine shop. You do dyno tuning, and then you manufacture turbo kits and stuff.
Yeah.
Is it the goal of Inline Pro to do all these things?
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's kind of hard to just focus on one thing, because when the one thing is really slow, then you need something else to make money for you. So we really want to get into basically just doing just manufacturing and prototyping parts, but it's so hard to get away from the service stuff because it pays the bills from day to day. So
yeah. Like as soon as you're done with a tune, for example, you get paid that day.
Yep.
So where there's not big cash flow swings like there is in manufacturing. And
yep. Yeah, you gotta have a lot of money to manufacture stuff. So it's tough, It's not as easy, especially with the economy, and the sport compact stuff is not as big as it used to be. So it's kind of it's on the downswing. But I mean we do a pretty even amount of business, so it kind of works out. But when the parts are slow, then we have service to do. When the service is slow, a lot of times we'll sell parts over the counter, and so it's kind of they're necessary evils.
So have you found that one thing consistently works better than other things?
No. It's usually about the same.
Okay.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. Like I said, we'd like to make more parts, but it's tough. So.
What do you think is holding you back from being able to make more parts?
Money.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's tough. If you manufacture one part, you usually, depending on what the part is, it's tough because the sport compact stuff is there's not a lot of volume, and most of these companies that you want to make parts with, they want volume. So when you want to make like 10 or 20 pieces or something, they don't want anything to do with you. You got to make thousands or tens of thousands of pieces. In order to do that, it takes a lot of money. So to make one part, if you want to make one little dinky little aluminum piece for, I don't know, just like something like an EGR cover plate, you're talking, you got to make at least 100 of them. They want $20 a piece, so
yeah,
right there, that's what, $2,000 in just little dinky parts.
Right.
So it adds up quick.
For sure.
Yeah.
volume's a problem. I can see how that's a tough thing, especially with really specific products that you don't need.
Yeah.
There's not a need for 100 of them.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Well, and that's the problem too. The market is just it's just not enough volume. It's just not as big as we'd like it to be.
Sure. Well, you guys have been around for a long time.
Yep.
Has location played a role in your success, do you think? How many of your customers are local versus not?
That's actually a really good question. Yeah, I think it has, because we're right outside of D.C. So we're about 10 minutes south of D.C. in Northern Virginia. And the good thing about this area is, as far as the economy, whether it be national or global, or is always really pretty steady around here because of the government. So basically, the government still stays open even when other places close down. The government, there's still people here with jobs. So that has helped quite a bit. We still get affected by the down economy and things like that, but it's definitely a lot better. I would say it took almost 2 years when the economy tanked for us to really start feeling it. So yeah, it has, and we do get a lot of walk-in customers. So yeah, it definitely helps. But on the other hand too, it's very expensive to live here, and the rent and around here is very expensive too. So it's a give and take.
Yeah. In the import drag racing thing, like the Northeast is where it's at.
Yeah.
But it hasn't always been that way. Is that maybe 15 years ago it was more focused in Southern California?
Yeah, all out in California. Yeah, I just think it's just progression. The guys they started it out there, and then it started over here later. But there's a lot of people out here that are big into it, and so it just they spend a lot of time and money doing it, and it just picked up.
Sure.
So yeah, we used to have all the guys from Battle the Imports and all those guys come out here, and we've got pictures of all those cars. A bunch of the guys, Papadakis' car in the showroom. A bunch of the old school guys. It was pretty funny.
Right?
Yeah.
You guys have been around for a long time. You guys have been a key player for a long time.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Right. So when you were first getting started and you were getting into working full time at Inline Pro, did you ever doubt yourself or think like, what if this doesn't work out? Did that ever limit you?
Yeah, I was still pretty young, so it's doesn't work out. I'll just get another job. I mean, because to be honest, like the being a mechanic, you can, especially in this area, you can basically I could go tomorrow and get a job being a mechanic, because all the dealers are always hiring, and the stuff we do is a lot harder than just changing parts on a stock car. So I never really worried about it that much, because it's just, what are you going to do? If you don't.
Yeah, you could always just go get a job wrenching.
Yeah, and that's what I had always planned. If something happened, or I'd go back to slinging parts. So
sure,
go back to a parts dealer job. But luckily that hasn't happened. And it's been quite a while. So
right. So can you tell us something that you're doing right now at Inline Pro that has you guys fired up? Maybe a new product or new services, or maybe even a project. Yeah. Is there anything that you got going on that's got you pumped?
Yeah, I mean, it's always, because we're involved with a bunch of the racers, and so we're, pretty much every year around this time, we're always kind of fired up about, we're always doing development over the winter and getting the cars going right about this time. So, so I'm working with Jake Gavio and his car, and we're doing, even last night I was here late cutting some valve jobs, some new valve jobs we're going to test out. So, working with Kerry Bales and Red Star. We got I just finished Kerry's motor and shipped it out to him a couple weeks ago. So we made some changes on it. So we're excited to see how that'll pan out. And I got to do some stuff for the Red Star. I got to do that motor. So that should go out in a couple weeks. And so it's always over the winter we're always I've got parts that I've been working on that I've prototyped, and then we're waiting for our manufacturers to finish them up, and so then we get them. We're now, all the parts are kind of trickling in. So we've been doing a lot of connecting rods. We've got new connecting rods that we're testing out in a bunch of the setups, and so a lot of the hard parts, connecting rods, and I got some new cam profiles for our camshafts coming in, and So that kind of stuff is just trickling in. So I'm, doing all that stuff right now is it's always got me fired up.
Yeah, what camshafts or what applications do you have cams for?
Well, mainly right now the S2000s, because that's the most of our business right now is S2000 stuff. We do K series, I do B series, I do a mix of everything, but the majority of the big power stuff at the moment is all S2000. So
okay, and all focused around, or it's not all focused around turbo S2000. It's everything naturally aspirated, like Gavio's car, to big turbo cars.
Oh yeah, and it's funny because our business is probably like 95% turbo stuff, but all the racers that we were helping were all naturally aspirated. Because I used to do Tim Gray's stuff. I used to do still do some of Mark Podowic's stuff, and Jake's stuff. So those were the guys that, and we even, we're helping Jeff Evans on his the V6, which is naturally aspirated. Uh-huh. So it's funny, I do a lot of racing with the naturally aspirated stuff, but most of our business is turbo. So motor builds and stuff, like I said, 95% of them are turbocharged. So yeah.
What's your role at Inline Pro as far as the engine building? Are you the assembler, also the guy that does machine work on the block and the heads?
Yeah, I do everything. So I do we're trying to get some more people in here to give me a hand, because I get pretty busy all the time. It's good and it's bad. a little too busy. But I do all the machining on all the heads and the blocks, and I do all the assembly, the degree, basically everything on the motor stuff. So I've probably going back to when I started doing motors, I've got paperwork on every single motor I've ever done here. So I do probably 50 assemblies a year, and then I think I've sleeved over the years. I've done about 400 blocks. So,
damn.
Yeah, I do a ton of stuff.
So what's a typical day look like for you?
Wake up, have some coffee, get screamed at by some kids, and then I get to come into work. So a typical day, I do come in. I answer emails for about an hour. It gives me a nice little time to relax and kind of before I get started on work, and then I'll help. I kind of do a lot. I wear a lot of hats here, so I order all the parts for all the jobs that I need. I order parts for some of the guys in the back. And then, probably about noontime, I'll start machining or assembling engines. So it just depends on what I've got on the plate for the day. Yeah. And then I'll just spend the rest of the day, hopping back and forth, and machining and assembly, and then I'll come up and answer some phones or answer a couple emails, and that's basically the whole day.
And you're responsible for managing some of the guys and making sure that stuff's getting done too?
Yeah, a little, not that much, a little bit. A lot of times I'll just order parts, or because I've just been here so long, so I basically, whenever anything comes in the door, I know what's going on. So a lot of times I'll just help out if we get really busy.
Right.
Because we probably need more people here than we have, so it's a constant struggle to just make sure everything's running smoothly.
Yeah, situation normal.
Yeah.
How many hours a week do you have to work to stay current and not get swallowed up by the monster?
I probably do about 45 to 50 hours a week.
Okay, not too bad.
No. I try to keep a good balance. I have two young kids. I got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and so I try to. If I leave work right at 6:30, I can get home to see them before they go to bed. So most nights I cut out of here.
Right.
So we used to be here, a couple years ago when I didn't have kids and a wife and stuff. I mean, I'd work here. We're open from 10 to 7, so work from 10 to 7, and then after close time, 7 o'clock, all the race cars would come out and work on the race cars till 2, 3 in the morning, and go home, go to sleep, get up, come back to work, do the same thing. So back then I used to pull a lot more hours here.
So I like to show people that everyone has struggles, and that kind of coming up is not as glamorous as it maybe looks from the outside.
No, it's not.
Can you tell us about like what it takes, or like what it looks like for you
Yeah. I mean, it's hard, because it's not. Everybody thinks that we make a ton of money and there's just money everywhere, and it's just it's just not like that, because we get a lot of, like, just an example is, a customer will spend $10,000 with us. It'll be a $10,000 ticket, but the thing is, the parts for these for whether it be a turbo kit or whether it be an engine build or or whatnot, the cost on the parts is usually like 60, maybe 50 to 60% of the job. So they spent $10,000 with us, but we didn't get to keep $10,000.
Sure.
And so and then you have to pay the employees to do stuff, and then by the end of the day, the margins are razor thin. So it's not easy. I mean, when I started working here, John was paying me. I started out on commission, and I think I was making about $300 a week.
Damn.
Yeah. So, but I lived.
Tough.
Yeah, but I lived at home, and so I didn't pay rent, and John's big deal here, and what he does, with most of the employees is, if you wanna do this stuff, you gotta commit and really show that you want to do it. There's a lot of people. Oh yeah, I got no problem making, $300 a week, and then the second week they're like, oh, I need to make more money. So, and they just don't show the initiative to really get in there and do it. I made $300 for probably a year or two.
Yeah.
And I'd work my hours, and I'd work on all the race cars, and I'd work all the race cars at the events, and I didn't get paid for any of that stuff. So, but it got me in with the company, and eventually I've gotten to the point over the years that it's I make a good enough living for me and my family. So. Yeah.
But it was a grind over.
Oh yeah. And I didn't make a good living overnight. I was here for years before but the thing is John didn't want to lose me because I was good, I was a good, hardworking employee.
Yeah.
So a lot of times,
looking back, would you do it the same way?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, because we had a lot of fun too. So yeah, and back then it didn't matter. My parents had always told me that, you never chase money, chase knowledge, and money will chase you, So that's kind of what I've never really worried too much about, as long as I can eat and have a place to live,
Right.
So
is there any particular situation that you can point to that was the worst experience that you've had since you've been at Inline Pro, and then what you did to overcome that situation?
Yeah, I haven't had like one instant that's I can be like, oh, that was horrible. It's usually a lot of I think the worst part of it is dealing with irate customers. Customers that just have no, they not common sense, but no
unrealistic expectations.
Yes, and unreasonable. And in the way that they expect a job. If something happens, if because this stuff is all this stuff is race stuff. So technically we really shouldn't warranty anything because it's racing, and But we end up if stuff happens, we always take care of the customer, and we always go the extra mile to make sure that the customers are happy. And it's tough because sometimes you feel like you do everything that you can for the customer, and then they still hate you. They still go online and say you're the worst, and where if something happened, if the customer blew up their engine, it was their fault. A lot of times we'll help them out. We'll rebuild the motor at cost, or we'll do things like that, and they still end up hating us. So that's I think it's that over the years is tough when you get that from customers over and over and over again. More of a grinding than an actual like one time where it's horrible.
So what can we take away from that? Do you think that in the situation where you're 100% not at fault, do you still try and take care of it just because you don't want the customer's negative feedback out there in the world?
Yeah, and John is, sometimes I've felt like John has done too much, and that, if it's blatantly the customer's fault, but that we shouldn't take care of it. It shouldn't be our responsibility. But John always tries to go above and beyond and help people out. And there are instances, that where people, it was totally their fault. Had nothing to do with, we told them to run 10 pounds of boost, and they turned it up to 20 and blew it up. Mm-hmm. And John's still taking care of them when it comes to that stuff. He'll eat the labor and rebuild a motor or whatever. So
it's a tough thing to make that call.
Yeah.
So
it is, and a lot of times John errs on the side of helping the customer versus not helping the customer.
Yeah.
But it's tough when you do that, and then they still think that you did something wrong. They still hate you, and they still, it's tough. You get because I've been doing it for so long. My skin has gotten a little bit thicker. Let's put it that way.
For sure. Over time, that definitely happens. I think a lot of people let it paralyze them.
Yeah.
So
sure. It's tough. You're a person. You don't like people, pissed off at you and stuff, and it's hard. I mean, it's I don't know. I think when as you get older and stuff, you start to that stuff kind of bothers you less and less.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you differentiate yourself at Inline Pro from what I call whack-a-mole shops, which is guys that can just pop up, sell for nothing, then they go away, but there's another whack-a-mole that just pops up and they just keep popping up and popping up and popping up. I mean, if you've been in the business for 15 years, you've seen it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's actually I'm actually gonna tell John that because that's a good. I like that whack-a-mole shop. That's I'm gonna have to let him know. Yeah, because that's a perfect example, and that happens to us all the time. There's shops that pop up and and they sell for nothing. They do this and they do that, and then they go out of business. And that's what we always.
There's another one right behind it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why we always just try to tell our customers, that we've been here for a long time. This is why we charge. Yeah, yes, you may think we charge a lot, but we charge enough that we stay in business, and so that when there's a problem with your car, we'll be around. But it is. It's hard. It's hard when a lot of these guys are running their, because it's hard too. Because this business is a hobby business. For a lot of people, this is fun and this is a hobby. And so they don't. If they get into it and they want parts for their race cars and they can, they got to buy 10, they don't care. They'll sell them all at cost just to get that one part for themselves. And so, it's tough. That's the hardest part of this business. So
dealing with whack-a-mole shops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cause the problem is too, this business, the profit margins and stuff are much too thin for how real business should be run. Most businesses, clothing places and, other shops, they run on such large, when they sell a pair of pants, they make 100%. They make 100% profit, where us, we're lucky if we make, 5 or 10%. So it's definitely hard, it's hard to do business in this stuff.
And so in that situation, why does everybody do it? And I think that everybody does it because they love it.
Yeah, because it's fun. And to be honest, I come into work every day, and I like going to work. I don't look at it as like, with every job, sometimes stuff gets monotonous, and and some days you don't want to be there. But for the most part, I like being here. So, and I wouldn't be here if I didn't like it. So, it's nice. I mean, a lot of people I know, a lot of people wake up and they hate their jobs. I got friends of mine that they make a lot of money, but they hate their jobs. Stressed out. A friend of mine's losing hair on his face because he's so stressed out. So.
Yeah. So, Jeremy, what's your Achilles heel? Are you good at delegating, or not good at delegating? What's a thing that you struggle with that that if you did it better, it would help you out?
I think BSing. I think I struggle.
Yeah?
I think I struggle a little bit with jaw jabbering with people. Because to be honest, I'm more of I like to just be in the back and kind of. I like to be I like to work and just kind of do my thing. I don't really like much customer interaction, and I like to just be working on engines and putting stuff together and fooling around with that stuff. So I don't particularly like sales. I don't really, and it's not that I can't do it, and it's not that I don't, but I'd rather be kind of in the back in a hole,
Yeah, just in your hole doing your thing.
Yeah, so it's tough because I think we'd be better off if I was a little bit more of a, of a salesman and a talker, and instead of doing things. So
right.
I'd say that's my Achilles heel.
Fair enough. How about a big, hairy, audacious goal? Do you have a big, hairy, audacious goal?
I don't know. No, I don't know. It'd be nice to.
What drives you to wake up in the morning?
Well, usually I get woken up. So. No, I mean, I'd love it if the shop, ended up doing really well, and we ended up just making and selling a bunch of parts. That'd be, that's my goal. And other than that, just, man, you got to just make sure that you're enjoying things, and just that you're not miserable all the time.
Yeah.
So
right now you guys do service and you make parts.
Yeah.
But in an ideal situation, you'd like to maybe not have to put food on the table from doing service, maybe just do it for fun. Is that?
Yeah.
Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, and basically it'd be nice to just do some of the motor builds for just like the race cars and stuff like that, and just sell parts. And it's funny, man, because I'm only, what am I, 36, and I'm already getting my body's already getting beat up from doing this stuff for so long. So
yeah.
in 10 years I'm going to be in. It'd be nice to just not have to labor my whole life, just kind of sell parts and I'd still be involved with everything, but it'd be nice just to kind of sit back and have good parts and just be able to sell them and help out the racers and still go to races, but on more of a not as a front line kind of guy.
Right.
So.
Not have everything have to be fixed with your own two hands or be relied on. I got it.
Yeah.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's I mean, right now I got like my arms almost every day they hurt. It's just from wrenching and just from having done it for so long. So I just don't want to be crippled when I'm like 60 years old. So
for sure, it's catching up to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm still young and I'm already beat up. So, but I still enjoy it. So, sorry.
Yeah. How much time do you spend at the shop, or how many events do you go to every year? Like, are you guys at every large event over there on the East Coast? How much time do you spend at the track?
I would say we've definitely cut back a lot because a lot of times I was doing so much. I was basically I felt like I was in the lab, like doing the motor stuff, and then I'd send it out, and a lot of times I'd be working at the shop, right up until the events to get the motors done, and I'd spend the whole week at the shop late, trying to get a motor done for Jake or trying to get a motor done for Kerry or Red Star, and then I'd end up not even going to the event because I'd just burn myself out doing the motor. So I definitely don't go to as many as I used to. I probably go to, I don't know, not even maybe like 4 or 5 a year.
Okay.
So I used to go. We used to race all. We used to actually race, and we'd go to like anywhere between 12 and 20 races a year. I even one year I was a safety tech inspector for NOPI, so I went did all the NOPI events. And that was tough.
Yeah.
So
hey, I want to transition to quick answer questions.
Sure.
I'm just going to fire these things at you.
All right.
Fair enough?
Sure.
So tell us about a game-changing product that you've seen in the last year.
Product or 3D printing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's or products that'll come from 3D printing. I think that's that's just going to change the whole industry. So.
Have you guys used any 3D printed prototypes to test fit anything?
Not yet. We're kind of getting, we're getting to the point where I would say in the next year we'll probably start getting stuff that's 3D printed. But they're still working on a lot of the metals, getting the metal stuff. So.
Oh, like 3D printing in metal, you mean?
Yeah. So most of the stuff that we do will be metal. So yeah, we might get some plastic prototyping, but before we're actually using it for manufacturing. So, but it's crazy.
So you're talking about actually 3D printing a usable part.
Oh yeah.
That's what you're wanting to do.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. I think that stuff's, just really cool. And it's just going to be, in a couple of years, nobody's going to, everything's going to be 3D printed. It's going to be crazy. I think it's just going to change the way the whole world works. So I'm pretty excited about that. So
3D printing in all these different media is pretty cool for sure.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time to 3D print a part as far as hours on the printer.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's going to be cost prohibitive. But for like low volume stuff like you were talking about earlier, that might be a solution.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think, everything's cost prohibitive until, computers were cost prohibitive, back in the day, and now they're, now everybody's got at least one. So I think it'll catch up because it has to, because it's going to do so much that it will. So.
What software program are you using on a daily basis? You guys have project management or,
No, it's funny. I got the question on the pre-list, and it's funny. I use Excel all the time.
Yeah.
Because I use it for. I've got a lot of calculators that I built up on Excel for all the engine builds for and I've got a camshaft calculator. I've got a fastener calculator that I built. I've got some stuff for the heads. Some squish and some squish calculator and some CC calculators and stuff like that. And so it's all on Excel. So
talk to me about a squish calculator.
Well, for measuring squish in the engine, the combustion chambers, and when I move the valves around, calculating the volume for the movement of the valve, because we use a lot of on the race car stuff, we use a lot of big valve, big cam stuff that. It's basically all that stuff is way in the forefront of what everybody's using, and so in order to get stuff to get in there, you have to I calculate everything to try to make sure it'll all fit. So
right.
Yeah,
So Excel's where you're at.
Yeah, it's funny, and I do some CAD work. I don't do a whole lot. I probably in the future that's where I'll be spending a lot of time, but I do some CAD modeling now, but it's not, I'm still learning a lot of that. So
sure. How about a favorite mobile app? Do you have a mobile app that you use that you could blow my mind with?
Nah. I wish I could, but I mean, I just try to use my phone as a phone.
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little, I feel a little bit like I'm I'm getting on that cusp where I'm not as current as I probably should be, but I don't even have a Facebook account. So
right.
But I just opened up an Instagram account, so I'm trying to get there.
There you go.
Yeah, it's tough.
Moving on up.
Yeah, it's tough because a lot of times people on Facebook that you get that stuff bombarded in your face all the time, and people go home and they go on their Facebook accounts, and it's like I don't know, man. I just want to leave my work at work, and it's tough if you've got people constantly trying to get stuff from you and do stuff with you, and so
yeah.
So I've been trying to keep it separated. You have to have a good balance, and I try to. I think I do a good job of leaving work at work. When I get home and I got my kids and my wife and stuff, and so I spend a lot of time with my family. So
nice.
Yeah.
Work-life balance is a thing that's tough in our industry because it's hard to determine how long a particular project's going to take when everything's custom. So as soon as you go to put something together, stuff isn't working like maybe it should, and so yeah, you got to spend a lot of extra time. So it's cool to hear that you say you've kind of got it figured out as far as work-life balance, because that's a thing that a lot of people struggle with for sure.
Yeah, I think everybody does, not just in our industry, but just in general. And I've got some nights sure that I stay late and I don't see my kids, and You know, I mean, I still do. Like I said, I mean, I was here the other night working on Jake's stuff late and didn't get to see my kids when I went home. But you know, but then I'll be off all weekend this weekend, and so I'll see them the whole weekend. So yeah, it's tough, but you know, I still have fun doing it. So that's why if I didn't like being here late, I wouldn't be here late. So.
What's your favorite shop tool?
That's a tough one. Probably my caliper. My Mitutoyo, just a little 0 to 6 inch caliper. Use it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, got to make sure.
Well,
stuff,
Jeremy,
you know,
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. Just general sizing. You know, I'm always up here measuring stuff, and you know, it's not super precise, but it's precise enough. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, what do you think the future of automotive performance is going to be?
Well, I think it's going to be turbo stuff for a while, and then it's going to switch over to electric.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. Because eventually all the new production cars are going to, they're all going to have electric motors on them. So I think most of the Hondas most of the performance Hondas that are coming out are, you know, they're going to have some sort of electric motor attached to them. So, yeah, the turbo stuff for right now, but I don't, you know, the combustion motor will be around for a while, but I think eventually, you know, and the turbo stuff is just where it's at. I really, you know, the car that I originally built was naturally aspirated, and my heart has always been with the naturally aspirated stuff because it's neat. It's hard to make power doing that stuff, and the turbo stuff you just put on a turbo, and you know, if you want more power, you turn up the boost. Yeah. So it's not as you know, you just try to make stuff beefy and not come apart. It's a little bit different of a mindset than the naturally aspirated stuff, but you know, I need to get with the times and just do you know, just aim for the turbo stuff. So.
Well, Jeremy, I want to say thanks so much for taking time today. You're busy for sure.
Yeah.
So taking time out of the middle of the day to kind of tell us what you're doing and what you're about and
sure.
Means a lot, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and just to, you know, the people listening, one of the things you were talking about is, you know, just getting an inside view of the business and stuff. And it's a hard business, but, you know, if you really are into it and you really like it and you know, like everything else, man, you just keep at it and keep at it and keep at it. And, you know, you could work in the business. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, guys. From a guy who's been doing it for his whole career.
Yeah.
Just keep plugging.
Yeah. Hey, man, it's what works.
There you go.
Yeah,
Jeremy, go ahead.
One thing, so I calculated how many. You know, a lot of times people talk about, you know, it takes about 10,000 hours to master something, and I calculated. I've been building. I've spent more than 24,000 hours building motors. So, man, if you want to do it, that's how you got to put in the time.
So you got your ninja card.
Yeah, that's right.
For sure. Jeremy, how do we connect with you and your company?
You can, our website, www.inlinepro.com. I'm on Instagram, Alan Built Racing. Like I said, I just started that a couple weeks ago, and I'm just trying to, you know, people like to see stuff, man, so I'm just trying to put it up there. And like I said, the shop has a Facebook account, you know, Inline Pro, but I don't personally have a Facebook account. Or you can just email the shop, and I usually check the emails, so you'll probably end up getting me anyways, even if it goes to the shop. So.
Right on. So shout out to Alan Built on Instagram. We'll go check it out.
Alan Built Racing. Yep. So.
Alan Built Racing.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Hey, thanks again for taking some time, man.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, and also you can check just one thing I forgot. If you ever seen Race Engine Technology magazine, we just had a cover story on it this issue for a Carries motor. So you can also check us out there. Yeah. So I was pretty excited about that.
Yeah, that's pretty killer.
Yeah. So
I'll definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, man, it's pretty cool. I was met with them at PRI this year, and it's like a 9-page article. I talked to the guy for 3.5 hours, 3.5-hour interview.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
What are you guys focusing on? What's it about?
It's about Kerry Bales, his engine set up in his car.
But specifically, like, what interested Race Engine Technology magazine?
Oh, it's well, I actually contacted them. They're like a European. It's almost like an engineering magazine, and they
focus on Formula One a lot, I thought.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They do everything.
That's the right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. That's the right one. Yeah. And they picked little us to do a nice article on. So I just contacted him. I said, hey man, this stuff we're doing is a lot of people don't think of it like that, but the stuff that we're doing, the piston speeds that we see on our race engines are far exceed like the Formula One stuff and the NASCAR stuff. And I've got friends that work down in a bunch of the NASCAR shops, and when they hear what we're doing with some of the engines, they don't believe it. They don't think it'll live and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, we've been doing this stuff for years. So
yeah.
So it's pretty interesting even to them, what we're doing. So
it's really interesting because like Formula One will spin 17,000, 19,000 RPM, but their stroke's so short.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, we're our stroke. I mean, the 106 motors, they're up in the 10,800 RPM range, which it does. If you calculate it, it does far exceed all the Formula One stuff. Now, granted, our motors aren't constantly driving at that, but
right.
They wouldn't survive if you left them there. Let's put it that way. But
cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm interested to check out the article in Race Engine. Well, the magazine is Race Engine Design, right?
Race Engine Technology.
Technology. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
No doubt. Well, kudos for that.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thought I'd mention that. So I've
definitely.
I've been walking around with a smile, about that for a little while. So.
And that's out now. You can go out and purchase that now.
Yep.
Or it's coming out.
Yeah. No, it's out. Yeah, it just came out about 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Cool.
Cool.
Well, you can check out more about Jeremy Allen and Inline Pro at doitforaliving.net. And Jeremy, until next time, brother.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time too.
Thanks for listening to Do It for a Living. You can find out more about this guest, this show, and even details about what we just talked about at our website, doitforaliving.net. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/doitforaliving and tell us who you want to hear from. And most importantly, subscribe to the podcast. Click subscribe. Do it now. Seriously. I'll wait while you grab your phone. Open up the podcast app, tap the subscribe button. When you subscribe, you help us gain momentum and attract more high-level guests. Thanks for listening, and good luck.